So welcome back everyone, Mike here, and welcome to the first episode ever of Small Business Saturday. We had this idea a few months ago to bring, local professionals and experts on different topics, all related to like rural living, country lifestyle, kind of everything that this channel is about. Now, one of the questions that we get quite often is how do you buy land? And it is a little bit different. Actually, it's probably a lot different than buying, a piece of property with a home already on it. So today we are fortunate to have Angie Popa here, who is a real estate professional in our area, and she's a real go-getter and she knows her business. So today Angie's going to kind of help us all out on what to look for and what to expect, if you're looking to buy your first piece of property. Angie, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. First off, it is an honor to be on this channel. As I was driving through to Outdoors with the Morgans and the gates, I literally felt like I was driving like on a studio set. So this is awesome. Thank you so much. Again, it's just an honor. Yes, I'm a real estate professional licensed in Pennsylvania, and I love what we do. I love helping people. There's so much that goes on in a real estate transaction, whether you're selling or whether you're purchasing. And I'm excited to answer a few questions. I definitely, would recommend you reaching out if you're considering buying or selling, reaching out to a local professional, as they will know local laws and that. But I'm excited for today. Thanks,
all right.
Mike.
We'll get started.
All right, hi, it's Melissa. I was on the stairs when Angie and Mike were doing the intro, so I'm sorry, I was trying to catch up. All right, so we're gonna talk to Angie about some property things, and one of the first things Angie reminded me is, do you wanna buy property or sell property? So we're gonna start with, let's look at buying options.
Okay, so buyers, you first want to ask yourself, why are you going to buy? What is your intended use of the property? Are you looking to put a house on it, your dream home? Are you looking at it for recreation, for camping? So what is the best use, your intention?
So we want to, we've had a lot of questions from our viewers, subscribers, I guess I should say, about the options of buying property and things to keep in mind.
Sure.
So people are going to look at it, I'm guessing, for putting a home, raising a family. And I think animals too have been another question people want to, so things you need to think about and check into.
And those are such great questions, especially with animals. We've had a lot of buyers that I personally had that we need to check, have your real estate professional check the different municipality ordinances. Can you have free range chickens? Can you have goats and that? So I would definitely first, figure out why you want to purchase, what's your intended use. Second is to partner up with a trusted real estate professional. Trusted for two reasons. Trusted not only professionally, that they know the area, that they have past sales, past experience, but also trusted character-wise. Because there's a lot that goes into purchasing, and you want to make sure it's a good partnership.
You want it to go well. So there's a lot that could go negative, but we're going to think positive. So to do some background research, that's good. And then would the individual buying look into the taxes and stuff, or would the real estate professional help do that?
The real estate professional absolutely can help. And every municipality is different. Here in Pennsylvania, we use millage. So we factor in the mills. There are 3 taxing bodies here.
Good.
So they'll factor all of that for the sales price of the home. Now, it will, if you're intending to build, which it sounds like most of the viewers are, then obviously it would probably be reassessed from the county, the school, and the municipality at the sales price.
Oh, good, thanks. Now, what if they they found this beautiful piece and there's like this old rundown home? How do you help your buyers weigh the options of buying it, maybe tear the house down, or your options of fixing it up? What kinds of things do you need to think about?
That is a great question, because as we know, they're not making land anymore.
I know, it's hard to find.
And it is hard to find a decent piece of land. So that is a definite option for buyers to find a rundown home. level it and put a home there. I was actually just speaking with one of the resources I have just yesterday, and they were talking about this piece of land. It has a rundown house on it, but they can't sell it because it's not perk tested.
Oh.
So just because there is a house on there, it may not, depending on the size of the lot and the size of the home that you want to put on.
Good to know.
It may not work out. So do your due diligence. Hire the right real estate agent to help you through the process. And speaking of processes, you first, when you put an offer in, they'll help you with the comparables, making the offer. But first step is percolation test. You could put a dream home, $1 million home, but if you can't flush that toilet, what is it worth?
Oh yeah. Goodness, that's funny because we have a well and septic here, and that's something that when I talk to some other folks out in the community and so forth that they're oblivious to that option of what do you mean you have to plan a load of wash and the dishwasher and all that, things to think about. So you just, because you have a piece of land and build a house, it's not going to tap into public water and sewage in most places. Some things to think about. Okay, so we talked about some things to think about buying a piece of land. Let's say we want to do that and we found a real estate professional like yourself. What do we do? How do we buy it?
Great question.
I don't have a bucket of money.
Why not?
I know.
Great question. So first thing, like you said, hire the right real estate professional. They will help direct you into finding a lender if you need to finance. And most of the time, local community banks or credit unions do what's called like a builder's loan. Where, and a lot of times they put, at least here that I've seen in my experience, they put a 1 year regulation, meaning you need to purchase the land and you need to build, and you lump it all in one loan, but it needs to be done within the year.
Got it.
So that's definitely an option. There's also perhaps, and your local real estate professional can help you with looking at any USDA loans. Any land loans. So if the builder's option is not, there are so many resources out there. Your local real estate professional will definitely help. If you need help finding a local real estate professional,
how do you get started?
Let us know, and we can certainly, we have a network throughout the world that can help you.
Great. I appreciate it. This is a good start. Now, what about the option of sometimes in the country here we see signs to rent to own? Are those good options? And if we find a piece of property with an old farmhouse and we want to rent to own it, what are some things we need to think about or ask questions so the buyer or the renter is protected?
Sure, that's a great question. So in those situations, the owner or the seller is being the bank. So you want to make sure that you have your real estate professional, your closing attorney, look over that contract, because most of the time that contract would be a private contract, or you could, as a buyer, and I have one of these, use a buyer contract, a standard form, lots of pages, but you want to make sure that all the terms are understood up front, because again, it's the lender, or excuse me, it's the seller being the lender. And usually a portion of that rent goes towards the principal or the down payment that would be.
So let's just flip to the other side of the fence real quick. So what if somebody out there has property and wants to do that, or maybe has someone, in a family or in a neighbor? And how would the seller or the renter go about? Anything can you think of that they need to point out other that you haven't mentioned?
As far as for rent to own, definitely, just to make sure that you're on the same page of knowing what that contract is. What happens to any of that hand money? What happens if the buyer decides not to purchase? What happens with that pool of money?
So there'll always be an agreement with that as well.
Absolutely. Everything should be in writing, and definitely. And the question, when you do a rent to own from the seller standpoint, you're taking on more risk. because you're not getting your money right when it closes.
See.
So
Yeah.
you're essentially being, a landlord, if you will,
Good
with the
point.
right to purchase. So it is a little bit more risk because you never know if they're actually going to purchase. However, you're getting that residual passive income as a real estate landlord.
Good.
Which is always good.
Right.
Okay. So there's kind of the flip side.
Yeah.
The saying goes, a dollar now is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. So.
Okay. Very good. Thanks. Okay. So here we are. This is Greta. And I think Greta's looking for a new chicken coop. So
we can help you, Greta.
yeah.
Yes.
So we found a piece of land. We have the financing in mind. So what happens next?
Yes.
Walk us through that.
So you want to put in an offer. And
Greta just
and yes, you want to make sure it's
anxious.
a good one. And so there are a lot of papers obviously involved in that. Your real estate professional can help you with all of them. You want to do your due diligence. She's fine. Greta's fine. You want to do your due diligence. The first thing in the contingency period is to do your inspections. And you may say, well, it's a vacant piece of land. What inspections do you need? First inspection is so important. And that's the perk test. If there's not an existing sewage system, you want to make sure you can flush the toilets. So a percolation test, this is just from Western Pennsylvania. What happens is you would contact, and your real estate professional will help you with that, your municipality. And the municipality has a actual sewage officer that you'll schedule a time. You'll go out there and you can go with them or not. Depending on the municipality, it costs between $150 to $1,000.
Now that's a good question. So that's a good point to bring up. So how do I prepare to know that? Or how does someone, so that you're going to inform that when I call you?
A real estate professional?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. To get
now,
an idea
some
of
properties,
what the costs are.
Exactly. Some properties are already perk tested. So as a seller, if you're thinking of selling, if you perk test it, then that's even more marketability. That you can, even ask for more because it's already, that soil is ready. So, and the steps involved in that, they go out, they dig some holes. And they make sure the water drains, that's percolation. And then the system has to have a design, like a sewage system design, whether it's a sand mound, whether it's a filtration, a drip. And those costs, it really depends on where you live, but it could range from $15,000 to, if it's hard clay, that there's not a lot of drainage, there has to be some technologies involved, up to $30,000.
Is that right?
So you definitely want to have, it's better to invest $1,000 to make sure you can flush the toilets, to have that. So perk test is number one. And they will actually, this is an example of one of the pieces of land that I sold. They will draw up like a survey, and they will do where the leach fields, the proposal can go. The second thing is for a well. You want to make sure that there's water. The nice thing, you can put a well, depending on the size of the land, you can put a well anywhere. As long as if it's a tank, 50 feet away, 100 feet away, from the leach field. So there's so much to know.
And so I have a question. So would any of this be based upon how many acreages?
Absolutely.
A person's bought?
Yes.
So,
yes. But I have seen where you may have 20 acres.
I see.
And there's only a small portion that actually has soil that passed the perk test.
I get it.
Now, you can pay the municipality or a soil scientist to do more holes and study the soil. But just because you have a large piece of land doesn't necessarily mean that the soil is good for a septic or a sand mound.
Got it. This is all good information, and keep in mind there's probably a lot of you out there already that maybe have been through this, have done this, or maybe work in this profession as well. So I think that this is all helpful and helps us know what direction to go and what kind of questions to ask. You know, just like Greta the chicken, you know, she's looking for something bigger. So that's, you know, Angie and I were talking, they're not making land anymore. So this is, you know, property and, you know, some good land has become a valuable resource. So some things to think about. All right, so we found the piece of land, we found the financing, and we passed the pit and perk test. So what's next?
Yes.
What?
So another contingency that you can put in the contract. Okay. Contingency means that you as a buyer are going to do your due diligence before you actually sign the papers. So, so one of those contingencies I would recommend would be property boundaries, which would be like a survey.
Okay, good.
And deeds and zoning restrictions. So for a survey, you want to make sure that that your intended use and for zoning that is within the ordinances, right? And a survey too. There are different types of surveys. There's, you know, those with the pins. That is just the surface, or for more money, of course, you can do the survey that also looks below.
For like the mineral rights and, or is that something different?
Mineral rights would be like more of the title search. Oh, I see. But let's definitely talk about that, because that's huge here, especially in Pennsylvania. But as far as for the other type of survey would be underground, looking at if there's any utilities underground. So you know before you dig, which is really important.
There's a number we call for that, right?
There is. There is a number.
Here in PA. Yes. Okay.
And then for zoning too, you know, again, that goes with your intended use, you know, that you can actually build or do what you want to do. I just sold a property a few weeks ago, and it's out in the game land, gorgeous piece of property, and a buyer wanted to make sure, can they go shooting? Can they go RVing and all of that? So it's important that any buyer does their due diligence, make sure it's the right piece of land for your intended use.
That is very important. You know, living here, we just assume that we can build a building and have some animals and get a horse, and those sorts of things aren't everywhere. So good point. Some things to think about. Okay. All right, now, so I brought up the question about the mineral rights. So how does that go?
So
the big thing here in Pennsylvania.
It is. It's huge. So knowing what the subsurface, so below the ground, rights are, who owns them, that would be done like during the title search, and that, of course, the seller would need to disclose what they know, if there's any leases, like a gas lease on there. But make sure your real estate professional, when you are writing up the offer, make sure that you're clear with your intention of what you're purchasing. Are you purchasing just the surface, just the land, or are you purchasing
because the seller
subsurface?
Can keep.
Absolutely. And and that is especially with the Marcella shell in the area. You know, it's very important that you know exactly what you're purchasing, what transfers or conveys, and what doesn't.
And what that gas lease. So the owner can keep the mineral rights.
They can.
And, you know, that the buyer's now on the property. But in that agreement, they could have maybe agreed to having a well site put on the property somewhere. Oh yeah, I mean there could be so many different, if there is you know, fracking going on, you know, look at that lease, make sure that, you know, is there a possibility that they could come on the property. You know, the American dream, I think the dream of owning land, of owning your home, and making that land what you want, I think is deep rooted in all of us. And as a real estate professional, it is a complete honor
to help people through that process, whether buying or selling. And there is, as Melissa said, there is so much to learn. I would just recommend keep learning, partner up with a trusted real estate professional. If you need any help finding a real estate professional, let us know, and we will partner you up with someone great. And then find, determine your why, where you want to live. I should say, location is obviously so important. Location, why you want to live there, and then you make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. Make sure, perk tested, make sure, the well, the survey, there's so much to go in with that, but your real estate professional can help you through all of that.
From like having, if you can have a well, or tying into public sewage and water, and even how much it costs to put a driveway down. And we just have a few things to share. Like I said, Mike's going to put Angie Popa's contact information in the description. But what kind of social media do you use that people?
Sure. Well, as you can see, I have like 3 or 4 followers on YouTube. I haven't done hardly anything on YouTube. I have the best teacher right here, you and Mike. So I am going to start putting more substantive information on YouTube. Oh, good. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and would love to connect. There's so much to know and so much to share. And my core is I love helping people. So if you have any questions, let me know, comment or call, and I'd be happy to chat anytime. And she's so true. She's such a true person. She's beautiful to look at, but she's also soft and sweet to listen to. I dearly, dearly love and cherish Angie. So I can honestly say she will know what she knows and tell you the truth, or she'll find out an answer for you, for sure. She's a hard worker and a very good friend. So I am so glad that you're our first Small Business Saturday. All right. Thanks. We're glad the sun came out, but it kind of went down behind the house, and I can take my sunglasses off. And we will remind you that if you like these videos, click the like button, subscribe, and share them with your friends. See you on the next one.